Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's 1% Better. So, 2 weeks in a row that we have consensus. I got to bring up some more interesting shit, huh? So, let's quickly talk about what everybody said. So, really good feedback. I love the fact that we're talking about where people's heads are at, and making sure that we meet people where they're at. I mean, that's really what, in my opinion, what makes us different than a lot of other places, that we don't have this, mold the person to the program mentality. We mold the program to the person, which is great. However, I do want to now kind of dig a little bit deeper into this idea of a Gen Pop journey. So we all agreed that where they start depends and where they end depends. Let's get into that. The starting point of the idea of volume and making sure you don't get hurt and the first do no harm is obviously the most important rule to follow. However, I want to make sure that we're also focused on what Bridget said, of this idea that ultimately it matters what people are willing to actually do, and that it can get boring very, very quickly. So I want to hear from you guys. What are ways that you've either actually done or think that you could start doing or we should start doing in order to get people to do the boring stuff up front? One of the things that I have done and I think is very useful, but in reality only really works in the in-person coaching, is this the coach, the personality and the rapport building of the coach. The fact that I'm fun to be with in the gym gets you to want to come. Right, that idea that I'm spending an unadulterated hour with you, 2-3 times a week. I get to know you, and the relationship, the rapport we bring, gets you to come in and do the stuff that you don't want to do, and that's incredibly powerful. However, it's impossible to scale. If that's the only way we do it, you can only ever be effective with people that you can coach, which means that's affected by the number of people you can see at any given time and the number of hours you have in a day. And that's fine if you're only ever looking to be just a coach who only deals with the people around him. I'm interested in both that and the idea of being able to be effective and useful to people who I may never actually physically meet. I want to help as many people as possible. And I don't see anything right now, at least online, that has a true universal appeal that is also intelligent and getting people to not just move, but move well and move well with function in mind. So what I want you guys to do is think of ways that both it works in person, but also ways that you think would be effective virtually. Now, that could be virtually, like literally on the computer with them, or asynchronous. So that's one question I want you guys to think about. On the other side of things, in terms of where people get off the journey, what does getting off look like, right? Taking care of your body and moving well and all those things, there's no end destination in that sense. There is some level, if you want to think of it that way, of fitness that you get to, and then you stay there or try to stay there. But how do you do that? How do you do that and not make it boring? Things that come to mind, things that we've done in the past, things that I think work really well. These are all the kind of stuff I want you to talk about. Personally, what I think works is to constantly give people new challenges, giving them opportunities to climb a new mountain. Whether that's a workout that is particularly difficult that has a cool name, a la CrossFit, or things that we've done in the past, or giving them a literal challenge, a triathlon or a Spartan race or something like that. But those are obvious. Let's try to think outside the box. What are some other things you can do to keep people motivated? And what kind of programming do you think in and of itself can do the work? All right. So as a recap, we're talking about 1, getting people to do what they don't want to do, the boring early stuff, keeping that interesting, using stuff to get them to actually comply without it just being the rapport you build. Things that you could be used virtually as well as in person. And then the second question is where people get off. What does it mean to hit that level where you're not progressing anymore because this is as far as you're going to go? What does that look like, and how do you keep people motivated? All right, guys, Keep it up. Also, for those of you who are friends with Dan, I've reached out to him. I think either he's dead or his phone disappeared. So make fun of him, grab him, throw shit at him, whatever you got to do, get him on here. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later, and I'll see you next week.